Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty, Haggerty10, as you know, Twitter handle. And I'm joined as always by Sean Martin at Sean Martin TCW. Sean, it is the happiest of Mondays, is it not?
Happiest of Saturdays, happiest of Sundays, happiest of Mondays, right?
Yes. It was Super Saturday, beautiful Sunday, happy Monday. Guys, welcome to the show. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. How could you not after that display? But first and foremost, we'll give a nod to our sponsors, new sponsors, football prizes. And there you go, guys. Get your entries in. You can still win the signed and framed stunning Lyle Abada shirt for only $3.95. So get yourself entered into that draw. And also the links in the description if you follow that through. But with your questions and your comments, and the best one of the day, we'll enter one of you in for free, won't we, Sean?
Certainly will, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of contenders today.
And also, you might want the Lyle Abada signed shirt now because of what happened on Saturday, but we'll get to that, Sean, in the fullness of time. Just before we do that, you know what to do, guys. You know what I'm going to say. Subscribe to the Celtic Way. We're more than just a podcast. We've got a wonderful website for you there with data analysis, big interviews, some wonderful pieces on the website that are well worth the read, analysis from Saturday's game and everything, something there for everybody. £1 for 2 months of full access. Join us, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Now, Sean, that game of association football that I was alluding to, it went very well, as good things go. It was good, wasn't it? Celtic 4, Rangers 0.
Very good, Tony. I thought it was excellent. I thought it was to a man. You seen my ratings. I'll put the ratings in the comments as well. I know I always put the emphasis on the detailed part, but it ended up about 1,500 words. So I went a wee bit tonto with it, but genuinely to a man, I thought Celtic turned up, performed well. Rangers were totally nullified almost and knocked off their stride by Celtic's game, I would say.
Yes, indeed, Sean. That's it. Now, Magnet67 comes in and asks the first question. What was the phrase, Tony? Free flowing, never boring. Absolute superb performance. What a house Andy's building. Now, the phrase is rip-roaring, free scoring, never boring. And I think, Sean, that was the epitome of that on Saturday. Celtic were absolutely, as you say, excellent. Outclassed Rangers, outthought, outfought, and outplayed them. And there was a gulf in class between the two teams on the day.
Or as Kevin McKenna put it in his post-match analysis for us, a post-match opinion piece, they left Rangers a wee bit traumatised at the end of it. I mean, I don't know if you want to start with individuals or just in general, but I mean, we could be here all day talking about individuals.
I think a lot of people would like us to be here all day, Sean.
I'm getting pulled up already, Tony. I'm getting pulled up already.
Okay.
Saying, your scoring of Yakimakis was light. I think I gave him a 7, Tony.
Did you? Okay.
Yep.
But, happy
to be corrected, but I thought it made a nuisance of himself. I thought he played well. I did think he played well. I thought particularly dropping back into midfield and physically dominating John Lundstrom a few times. I thought he did well, but in front of goal, obviously never really get the service, and that's why he was so frustrated towards the end that his team had won 4-0 and he hadn't scored.
Good morning, Chris. How you doing? Indian Bone Singer there, Chris, who I know from East Kilbride. Yes, I called it a pulverisation, Sean. Yep. Even somebody got back to me on Twitter and asked if it was an actual word. It was a word that I put them right there. Gave them the dictionary.
A masterclass, a pulverisation, a traumatisation, yep. Any of the above, all of the above.
Oh, yes. I think that would be multiple choice answer E, all of the above, Sean. Indeed. And I think there was just so much, as you say, to purr over and dissect. But you, in your man-by-man rating, Sean, 3 players got 9s. And those players were Lyle Abada, Matt O'Reilly, and Jota.
Yep, 999, Tony.
999.
I think it was Rangers dialing 999 at the end, right enough. But I gave the 3 of them a 9. I also pondered giving Callum McGregor a 9 because I thought he was key as well. But yeah, Matt O'Reilly. In fact, I'll come to him last because he was probably my man of the match. But Jota done exactly what he does to everybody else, but he done it to Rangers this time. Really, that finish. Superb.
Sublime, isn't it?
Yeah, superb. Statistically, the angle that he was at, and the way that they keep all right, maybe John McLaughlin went down a wee bit early, and some would say it makes his mind up for him. I would argue the finish itself is just world class. So that's why it's a statistically low probability that you score from there, because it takes a player of that ilk and a finish of that style to do it. So I thought the finish was fantastic, bettered only potentially by yet another quick set piece to set it up.
Well, I think it's the goal of the season for me, Sean, and I'll tell you why. Because that's Andy's Postecoglou's football team stamped all over it. McGregor to O'Reilly, the quick thinking from McGregor for the quick free kick, even quicker thinking from O'Reilly to play, to dissect that pass. Pass is world class, and the finish is world class, as you say. So for me, it's say an early contender for goal of the season, but I think you'll find it hard to beat that in terms of an actual movement. A team got are part of a three-man team.
The first goal obviously came from I know the first goal, John McLaughlin's prawn cracker wrist kind of helped, but it was a quick throw in.
Yeah.
As well. So again, I mean, looking at it from the opposite side, everybody knows that Celtic play that way. Everybody knows the we don't stop thing. Everybody knows it's not a new thing that the ball boys have got the balls firing in and different things, and that Celtic take quick corners, quick throw-ins. I mean, Ross County get done by a quick corner the other night, but that wasn't from their own switching off. That was just, it was so quick because Malcolm Mackay had obviously told them, you can't turn your back to the play, and they hadn't, but it was still too quick for them. So I don't think for a minute that the Rangers players weren't aware that that's what was going to happen. So what happened from was it the occasion? Was it the atmosphere? Did it still take them by surprise? But Celtic done what they always do. Rangers couldn't cope with it. And that included the quick set pieces, quick throw-ins, quick free kicks. It led to goals on this occasion, whether it leads to goals or chances, they couldn't deal with it.
There's a couple of still frames where Van Bronckhorst is actually pointing to O'Reilly, and then he does that.
Which tells me that they were told exactly what to expect.
Because he knows, because he's so frustrated that three guys have, you say, just not so much turned their back to play, but just are caught sleeping. Yeah. But O'Reilly, I mean, I love Jota sitting goal just for the execution, and you know, and we spoke on Friday, we made our predictions. I said 3-0, and I did say that there was a quiet optimism amongst the Celtic supporters. Now,
let's be honest, Tony. When we came off, your first words were, "I said 3-0, but see if Celtic start well, that could be 4 or 5." And
my worst. That's exactly what my worst. And I said I think Celtic could give them an Inverness clack in the cudding, and that's what I said, which was rhyme with slang for scudding. And you were like, you should have said that on air, but I felt that might have bordered on cockiness, arrogance, or whatever, which I'm not. But my caveat was that if Celtic turned up and played the way and everything fell into place, they were capable of doing that to Rangers. And also, the surprise to me is that it's a surprise to people, because this game was telegraphed in February. They said it almost a carbon copy, except Celtic scored another goal in the second half. And to think that was a surprise performance for Celtic, then you're not watching or not been paying attention to what Andy's been building along the way.
Yeah, that's what I mean by the kind of the ball boy thing and the quick throw-ins, quick free kicks. Both from the perspective of when I was watching highlights and stuff, it was almost as if it was new information to people. It's not. They've been doing it since last season, since Ange came in, basically. And then the opposite side, as I say, it's not new information for the opposition either. Yes. So that just made it quite galling to watch. That even after conceding twice from quick throw-ins and quick free kicks, when Celtic had a goal kick or another throw-in or something, there was Rangers players turning their back to play as if it was like Motherwell at home they were playing, and the goalkeeper was going to take ages to lump it up the park, and you're going to have all the time in the world to get back into position. It just doesn't work like that against Celtic. Yeah.
Get your comments, questions coming in, guys, and your thoughts.
Yep. Jason Lee, this Matt O'Reilly guy is definitely above average. We've got a piece that you'll like then, diving into his display specifically, because he got, depends if you want to say 2 or 3. I gave him 3 assists in the match ratings, but I think officially it's 2 because the cross for the first 2 at deflection. But Stuart Ross has dived head first, to put it better like that, into O'Reilly's performance, breaking down just how he tormented Rangers basically. And as you say, Tony, I gave him a 9. He was my man of the match.
He was my man of the match too.
I just thought
he's normally my man of the match before he steps onto the field.
Well, you're getting into Greg Taylor territory with
Yeah,
him, aren't you? But the thing is, you don't need to defend him against anybody because everybody thinks he's a baller, I think. But for me, there was times in that game, and in my ratings, I called him the calmest man in the building because he was getting some treatment from John Lundstram in particular, and it takes it as a compliment. He's that kind of player. The more that somebody gets frustrated with him, the more he enjoys it because he's that kind of talented, technical, and as I say, composed player. He just doesn't let it knock him off his stride. He just kept doing what was annoying them to begin with. I kind of mentioned in the ratings, Lundstram at one point, it looked as if he was going like, "You're not playing the same sport as me. What is this he's doing with the football and stuff?" So I thought Matt O'Reilly was my man of the match. But as I say, Abada for his display. We promised somebody on Twitter we would a regular viewer that we would talk for 20 minutes about Abada. We're obviously not quite going to do that, but the nod for him to start, we both thought that Maida would start these pressing capabilities, but we both said if it's not and it's Abada, it's not a bad thing. We just thought that Maida would start.
Yeah.
Within 8 minutes, Abada was running, celebrating his first goal of the afternoon. So great shout for everybody that said Abada would start and that he would be a goal threat because proven right.
That's why Ange Postecoglou was the manager, Sean, and we're sitting here, you know. But going back to Matt O'Reilly, we spoke off here on Saturday, and I said he reminds me of that old joke. I think it was David Provan was talking about Alex McDonald, and he said, "I could keep a beach ball off you in a telephone box." And Matt O'Reilly was, as you say, at one point he was just kind of fending him off, and I think he was looking at the referee and saying, "How many times are you going to let this guy have a nibble?" Type of thing. But he was coolness and calmness personified. And I wanted to flag up the second assist. If you're giving him 3, the second one for Abada's second goal. Now that ball's fizzed across at him by Taylor, and it's coming at speed. And he's got the presence of mind not only to get in front of Lundstram because he switched on the whole game and he's ran away from his marker, but he has laid that off to Abada on a plate to say, "Have a strike a goal." Now, I was sitting yesterday with a few of my friends and I said, although it's not the same, it's the quickness in the mind, right? He plays football in the brain. Remember when Pele rolled that ball to Carlos Alberto in 1970 because you just knew he'd be there? Riley's just flicked that. He knew Abada would be there. And I'm convinced that peripheral vision, and he's just went like that. There you go. Up to you.
Well, you've given me my easy tweet for later on to market this because you've now compared Matt O'Reilly to Pele. So
I'm not comparing him to Pele.
I think it was.
The actual pass in terms of the technique that you know someone's going to be there because you see him with your peripheral vision. And Pele had all the time in the world to do it in 1970, whereas O'Reilly's just flicked it. I just think it's a similar type of technique in terms of your game and you're spatially aware. Because he wasn't just putting that to nobody. He knew Abada was there. But it's the speed of thought I'm talking about. The actual just shunt to the side. To me, that was one of the highlights for me in that game, alongside the second goal. But just that pass, it's moments like that mark you out as a special footballer or a talented player. Because nobody can tell me that was luck. He ran in.
It was deliberate. It was
across, and he has shunted it to him, knowing you've got a hit at this. On you go, do what you do best. And Abada's buried it. So, in terms of the movement and the technique and the skill and the execution, I'm comparing it to what Pele did. I'm not comparing the players, but I'm talking about the technique. You know what I mean? So people can shout at me if they want and go off on that, but that's just the way I see it. Special players do special things in matches, and he's produced a really killer pass because that's the killer goal, Sean. That's the match clinching goal.
Yep, I think genuinely you could go through the whole team. Rael Hatate had a good game. Some of his passing, I mention it a lot, but the risk that he takes with some of his passing, you love to see it because, maybe not on Saturday, because there was quite a lot of space. But see, when you play teams that want to sit very, very, very deep, you need someone, and you've actually got two, Matt O'Reilly and Rael Hatate, both do it, who are willing to take a risky pass. Because you're going to get games where either or both of their passing completion it's maybe going to be less than 80%, but that is probably usually going to be because they've taken a few risks and it might not have come off, that kind of thing, rather than they're just not passing it well.
Yeah.
But you need those players, and I think the two of them, with McGregor, what more do you say about McGregor? But the two of them in particular, Hatate and O'Reilly, they seem to be developing an understanding in that midfield that, considering they've not been playing together as first choice for all that long, is a scary proposition, I would wager. Get plenty of comments coming in here, Tony. This one's quite funny. Patrick McLaughlin, John McLaughlin's actually worse than Barkas. Jason Lee, that Jota goal is a goal of the month candidate. You're saying goal of the season already, Tony?
Goal of the season, yeah, definitely goal of the month candidate, but goal of the season for me.
And Dean Bonesinger comes back in with man of the match displays all over the pitch. Would agree with that.
Couldn't agree more, Chris.
Chilpel, try to get my good side again. Wee Taylor was great. Jason Lee, I bring this up actually, Tony. Score should have been 5-0. Abada should have had a penalty. I think it was a penalty. Do you agree? Or?
Oh, without a doubt.
No?
Well, I'll ask you this. It's the kind of penalties that Kent's been getting.
But I don't think that matters at all whether somebody else gets it, because in that vacuum, I think it was a penalty in and of itself.
I think there was contact and he's caught him. But I'm talking about it's a similar type foul to the ones that are made on Kent and he gets penalties for. That's the point I'm making.
I mean, I do get what you're saying. I don't care about that part. I think just in a vacuum, was that instant a penalty? I think aye, because a couple of ones said about intent. Doesn't really matter because he's come in from the back in the action of whether you think he was shooting or whether you think he was going to pull it back. He was still in the box in the action of playing the ball, and he's caught him. Whether it was intentional or not doesn't really matter at that point.
He has caught him. It's a penalty. It's a penalty. There's no two ways about it. Yeah.
The other thing that I've seen mentioned, I can't find the comment, but later on in the second half, Connor Goldson's elbow on.
Yeah. Sneaky on Jota.
Yeah, on Jota. It was. I think he was lucky to get away with it.
Yeah, he was lucky to get away with that, and also there's
he picked up his booking not long after, sure.
Yeah, but I thought that was a particularly reckless and dangerous challenge because it was
with the Maeda one.
With Maeda, and he borderline red for me, that straight red.
The only thing, the only thing was, I think he tried deliberately not to show his studs. When I seen it back, it looked like he might have actually, but at the first viewing, when I first saw it, I thought he's
very high
put down so that he can realistically say that his studs weren't showing, that kind of thing. But I think you knew it was coming. Maeda, there was only one thing in his mind when he got that ball. He almost ran at a right angle. He almost went down and until he hit a corner and then straight up, and then nobody's catching him. But I think you might see that a couple of times this season.
And also as well, I think Celtic did well to recover from the early blow, Sean, of losing Kyogo.
Yep. Got a comment here from Frank mentioning that very thing. Yeah. He says he feared the worst in the opening settings when Lundstrom took out Kyogo, forced him off with a shoulder injury. But Celtic's players proved how strong they are mentally with Abada's goal minutes later. Kind of disagree with that. I think, Tony, we kind of spoke after the game, and both of us were of the opinion that, if anything, this kind of showed both how far Celtic have come, and in the sense that maybe a year ago Kyogo was down injured in the first minute, derby or no derby, and you're kind of going, well, this could get to the team. Yep. Year on, that's not the case, but it also showed that depth chart that we were talking about on Friday, where a lot of people actually thought Giakoumakis could have started over Kyogo for a derby, but therefore a minute in, Kyogo goes off injured, or 4 minutes in, Kyogo goes off injured. Who's warming up? Giakoumakis. Oh well, fair enough. That was a prevailing feeling. I think most people were going, no, fair enough. Big Giakoumakis is coming on. So,
as you say, any other game there's a foreboding sense of doom. The fact that you have Giakoumakis there, and if you didn't think that Giakoumakis was going to come on and play the way he did, then you're not watching and you're not paying attention. It is very much, as you say, as we've alluded to, 2 players for every position, and the manager has been very, very wise in bringing in 2 players for every position. The depth chart that you put up on Friday highlighted that, and on that kind of a splinter from that, Sean, is the Champions League group squad has been named, hasn't it? Group stage squad. It was announced yesterday, and 25-man squad, and you looked at that and thought, yeah, you spoke to me this morning and said what a squad that is, and at least they're well equipped this time to cope with games of the magnitude that are coming, starting with Real Madrid on Tuesday. But the one omission, Ideguchi, but to be fair to Ideguchi, he's not really had the chance to.
No, I think you could have predicted it would be him, because McCarthy with the homegrown rule and the locally trained thing and stuff. I think it would probably be between the two of them, and that would have gave McCarthy the edge. Ideguchi's been unfortunate with injuries. Even when he has played, probably not shown that much anyway. So I don't think it's a massive surprise that's the 25-man squad is basically that depth chart apart from Ideguchi.
Yeah. We spoke about at length on Friday, and a lot of people were loving the depth chart, Sean. That it's a strong team, isn't it?
Yeah,
and strong guys to come in. Yeah, strong squad. Yeah, I mean, team as in 25-man team, but yeah, I mean, and you trust whatever permutation the manager chooses to put on the field for any given match. I think that's the difference.
Chilwell, this is a great point. Abada has the invisible man ability. He does, because he loves that ghosting back post run. Whether he's coming to the back post or round his marker and more centrally, he still loves it. He loves it. And there was a comment earlier that I can't quite find it there, saying that it's beyond his years. I would agree with that. And Ange Postecoglou touched on that as well, the maturity and the way that he moves to get himself into the position to finish. We've seen it all season, last season. And as I say, if anything, he was overplayed last season because of the circumstances he found himself in. I think this season, whether he reaches the same goals and assists or not is almost irrelevant. I think his level of performance will be better overall because he's going to be able to come out the team if needed. He's going to be able to come on. It's not going to be like last season where he ends up playing 50-odd games and it's 40-odd starts because there wasn't any alternatives at any point.
Chilwell, I did an article with 7 guys that tried to mark Henrik Larsson, and that's what they said. Henrik Larsson had the invisible man abilities. They thought they had him and would vanish into thin air. And now Abada does have that ability to go missing in the box and get on the end of stuff, just pop up and shoot at goal and score. It's a wonderful thing to have as a forward or an attack-minded player. And he showed it again on Saturday because there was nobody near him when he's shooting those two towards the goal, Sean, and obviously profited and scored. But he's proven time and time again that he can do that. He takes up those positions because he's just.
We had the same conversation about Kyogo a couple of weeks ago when about the taking up the offside and dropping back in and different things. Dougie, that's who it was that came on Twitter and says, wanted 20 minutes on Abada. Not far off. I mean, we've been 22 already, and we've only kind of touched on the Champions League, but it's but we've not mentioned the defence, who, all right, might not have had all that much to deal with, Tony, when you think about it. But Robert Kearns saying, I think we need to give the back four, plus Joe Hart, obviously, a big part in the back. I agree with that. I think a lot of it comes from them. The build-up, Ange's kind of made a point of because of the amount of goals Celtic have been scoring, he's made a point about Joe Hart in the back line and what they bring to the build-up and what they set, the platform that they set. And I think that was there again on Saturday. Now, I tend to, it's a kind of running joke between us, Tony, that Joe Hart doesn't really need to do much to get an 8 out of 10 in your ratings. But I gave him an 8 out of 10 on Saturday, and you could easily have come back to me and says, well, come on. He made the best save he had to make was from Callum McGregor.
Yeah, I was going to say a great-headed save from Callum McGregor.
Against an opponent like Rangers, who did, not to kind of poor quality degree, but did try occasionally to sit on McGregor and stop the kind of passing out from the back a bit. Playing as a Celtic goalkeeper and a Celtic centre-back takes on even more responsibility than it already does. And I think Joe Hart, especially on days like that, it's not really just about the saves. There's other games where it won't even, as I say, won't be involved all that much. Saturday, I gave him an 8 because I think you could see the influence he was having on the defenders when they couldn't give it to McGregor. They never panicked. And I actually says that was a compliment for McGregor as well, because last season, especially in the early stages of the season, you had some of the defenders and the keeper as well. They would get themselves, if not into a flap, then certainly they would be almost questioning their own ability to pass it out. They would still try it, but it would take that split second longer. And a lot of the time it was give it to McGregor, even if he's got somebody on him, because we don't know what else to do with it. Now they've got the confidence that they're zipping it in, and whether it's to Juranovic, to Taylor, straight through to Hatate, it doesn't need to be McGregor as much as it used to be. And I would give McGregor a big compliment in that as well. for the way that he leads the team, the way that he gets his defenders full of confidence for it. So basically, a team performance, isn't it?
There's only two scary or hairy moments, Sean, for me, by the defence in that way. Barisic's cross, the Barisic's cross, which Čolak got in the end of, probably could have and should have scored, and the Starfelt header, which it was inexplicable because he didn't have to do that. He could have headed it back, he'd have headed it to the side, he could have let it go, bouncing through to Joe Hart. So, and again, we've touched upon it, players with more technical ability than Čolak, who I still rate, I still think he's a good player, might have profited from and scored. So again, that's understandable, but I think that's the ultimate nitpick there, and also, as you said there, alluded to, it's a wonderful team performance, to be honest.
I think what else? No, the Starfelt thing's probably really the only thing. It was a poor decision to head it back in. He should have left it for Hart. Yeah. But apart from, I mean, it never get punished or anything. No, so I did give Starfelt a 7 rather than an 8 for those reasons. But it was still a positive performance. It was still a 7. Carter Vickers, actually, I thought after the first half would have been a 7, but his second half performance went up again.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth mentioning this as well. Kevin Ferrier, Big Marici Yent's done well when he came on. I think he did do well, and I think
he did very well. Yeah.
Occasionally, I still think he carries the ball too much before passing it. But on one occasion, precisely doing that, lulled 2 Rangers players towards him, and he just flicked it through the middle to Real Hatate, and he had a free run basically all the way up to almost the Rangers area. So I like that. I like that confidence.
Yeah.
And as I said when he signed, he said he modelled his game on Leonardo Bonucci, which is a big thing to say when the data didn't really bear that out, that he wasn't really that type of defender so far. I posited that potentially it was because he was playing for teams that didn't give him the chance to be that type of defender. Yeah. And Celtic would be the ultimate team to let him express that side. And he's trying to embrace it, and I like it.
We're talking about the squad. I just wanted to flag up, Sean, as well, that Alan Morrison did a wonderful article, didn't he?
Of course,
The transfers, and you're going to put the link there. If you haven't read this, guys, check out the website and have a read at this. It's pretty special, isn't it, Sean? It's a very good article.
It was superb by even by Alan's standards. I says to him that was a great read. It was a transfer window assessment, basically. I says to him, "Do you fancy doing that?" And he's done it clinically, is what I would say. So situation Celtic were in before the window, what he felt they needed getting into the window, even occasionally, as he said himself, being a wee bit greedy with a couple of positions that he felt maybe they didn't really need to strengthen, but he would have liked to have saw players coming in for, and then what they actually did, what they did exit wise, and then he's kind of he's employed a traffic light system, red, amber, green, for the signings that Celtic have made so far, every signing, with a brief kind of so far what we know about them and whether they fit, that kind of thing, with the caveat obviously it's only the start of the season, but well worth a read. It kind of, not that it went overlooked, but I basically forgot to draw attention to it on Friday because we were all heads in the Derby preview. So get that a read as well, because it's still as relevant now, because it's still only a game after the transfer window. So,
and touching briefly on Real Madrid, we had a special guest on, didn't we, Sean?
Yes, we did. Yep.
Speak about Celtic and Real Madrid. He spoke about that as well. And if you haven't already watched it, we would encourage you to go and watch myself and Sean sit down with Mark Bosnich, former Australian.
A couple of people have watched it, Tony. A couple of comments.
Yeah, it's Go Boz, a good interview with a great man. It's a wonderful, I tweeted out yesterday, it's a wonderful way to spend 38, 40 minutes. It's just brilliant chat. He was a brilliant guest, wasn't he, Sean? Really,
it was,
incredible, great chat, and just offered a wonderful insight into not just Ange Postecoglou as a manager, but as a TV pundit as well, Sean.
Well, that's the thing, and just in case any are wondering why, like, in case you are thinking, oh, it's just because he's Australian, it's not. It's because he spent about 3-4 years in a TV studio with Ange Postecoglou back in Australia for Fox Sports, so he knows him from that sense, which is a different kind of way to know him. Yep. You know what I mean? Many people do you find talking about Ange the pundit, not that many. So we thought we'll get him on to speak about that. But also, he turned down Celtic in the year 2000, yes. Martin O'Neill's revolution,
Yes.
He turned down the opportunity. You'll find out why. You'll find out the reason why. Let's
you
just
won't
say,
believe
give him
it,
the cold
actually.
shoulder, Tony. Let's put it
Yes,
that way.
indeed, yeah.
But definitely, I think worth a watch. Appreciate the comments that have come in already about it, and it's part of like 3 videos that we've had now in this Celtic Way sit down series that we're doing. The first one, Stephen McGarry, Scottish former midfielder, played against Ange Postecoglou. Had to deal with the Roar Salona, Brisbane Roar, Ange Postecoglou's record-setting side. Then we had the captain of the latter part of that historic run, Matt Smith, on to discuss Ange. Now we've had Mark Bosnich, so we'll be doing these semi-regularly throughout the season, getting not always about Ange Postecoglou, I must say, but just about Celtic in general.
And speaking of Real Madrid, Sean, we've got a special guest to preview the Real Madrid game, haven't we?
We do.
Tell the viewers what
that'll be going live at 5 tonight, tea time special for you, and it's our Celtic v Real Madrid preview special, basically. And we've got a very, very special guest with me and Tony, which I think you'll thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that, guys. Check that out. YouTube video out from 5 o'clock. You'll enjoy it. He's great chat, very knowledgeable man. Sean, we giving him any clues?
I don't know, Tony. What do you think?
Well, one word clue would be Espanol.
Nah, you okay? All right.
Okay. You happy with that?
Aye, all right. Okay. All right. Nah, definitely. So 5 o'clock. I'll remind you on Twitter that you're on Twitter, but it'll just be going up at 5 o'clock. So check back at 5. If you've got the subscriptions to the YouTube channel, you get a notification anyway. Yeah,
indeed. Now that's been nearly 32 minutes, Sean. We could wax lyrical about this performance all day, and we wish we could, but we'll be back tomorrow, won't we?
We'll be doing our own predicted 11s, score predictions, all of that for. And it's creeped up on us, Celtic versus Real Madrid in the Champions League group stages.
Yeah, and Celtic are going in with optimism, Sean. It's Real Madrid. They're playing the European champions, and there's some quiet optimism abounding about Celtic, which is just wonderful to see. That's what the manager, Ange Postecoglou, has instilled in the players and the supporters. There's, bring it on, Sean. Bring on Real Madrid.
As Andrew Galea says, great result at the weekend. Feeling pretty good about Tuesday now. Well, if you're in like me and Tony, after you watch our video at 5, you'll be feeling even better. So,
and if you're of a certain vintage, you'll remember George McCluskey and Johnny Doyle scoring against Real Madrid in the first leg, 2-0 at Celtic Park, and with Laurie Cunningham and Uli Stilica and Del Bosque playing, Sean.
Yep.
And as I've alluded to, if you've not watched it, go and watch the highlights on YouTube, just for Arthur Monfort's commentary alone, just a real snapshot in time and a kind of, the halcyon days I call of watching football growing up as a kid. But it's wonderful stuff. And obviously Celtic lost 3-0 in the Bernabeu, but there you go. It was Real Madrid after all. But I think we spoke about it on Friday that, and Mark Bosnich said a great thing. He said Celtic have nothing to lose, didn't he, Sean?
Yeah, aye.
And when your
opponent, on that note, you've actually got an extra wee piece with Mark on you obviously had the big interview on over the weekend, which was interesting. That was partly about him turning Celtic down, partly about working with Ange, the Postecoglou punditry sessions, as we called it. But you've also got an extra wee bit, which was specifically about Celtic playing in the Champions League, and part of that relies on the conversations that Mark Bosnich had with Postecoglou about being in the studio. And if you've watched the interview, or even if you go and watch it, you'll hear a bit where he says, no matter who it was that were watching, it used to be the European games, but Postecoglou would say things to him off camera like, this is what I would have done, blah, blah, blah. And Mark Bosnich used to say to him, well, go and show me, Ange. Don't just tell me, go and show me. And by everybody's admission, by Bosnich's own admission, he certainly has shown him. So there's an extra piece on the Champions League, Tony, on the site from Mark Bosnich, discussing the fates, the football gods, pitting Ange against Real Madrid, given his link with Ferenc Puskas.
And the fact that his father also supported Real Madrid when they were watching the European Cup finals and European games. Ridiculous o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Now, Sean, the viewers, courtesy of Football Prizes, our new sponsors, can enter into the draw. $3.95 to win the stunning signed and framed Lil Abada.
Yay, there we go.
Yes, I get into trouble for calling him now. It's Lil Abada, isn't it? And the link's in the description, guys. If you want to enter that draw, you can win that, and it's probably a worthwhile prize to win, considering what he did on Saturday, especially particularly timely, I think, to win a prize like that. And also ask you to subscribe to the Celtic Way. You know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and join us. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe, and you'll see all the stuff on the website. Some quality content on there. And also, Sean, I was going to say something there and I've completely forgotten. There you go. That's old age getting to me, I believe, Sean. Yeah.
Have you got a comment of the day, Tony?
Well, that was it. Yes, a comment of the day, Sean. Have you been starring them as they're coming in?
I've been starring a few yet, but I quite like this one. Sean Malloy saying I gave Hart an 8 for picking Kyogo up after the game. To be honest, Tony, did you see the panic in his face though?
He came from nowhere, didn't he? He was the only one that would have been quicker to him if he'd have seen it in real time would have been Maeda. But Hart was off the blocks as quick as he could, because I think he genuinely looked concerned. Genuinely concerned for his teammate. And to be fair, I know Kyogo was laughing, but you don't know what he's done to his shoulder. So
at least it was the other shoulder he landed on. But
yeah,
at the same time, Joe Hart's face was a picture.
Yeah, indeed. All roads lead to paradise tomorrow, Sean. Celtic playing Real Madrid, the European holders. It does not get any bigger or any better. And that amphitheatre in Glasgow's East End will just be rocking. It'll be some occasion. It's one of those. If you'd have said a year ago that you'd be heading into a Champions League group stage match with Real Madrid with optimism, you'd have got some funny looks, wouldn't you?
Slightly, Tony, slightly funny looks. And maybe somebody else dialing 999 at that point. But so Sean, we'll give it to Sean. So Sean, if you direct message us, email us, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or an actual email, we'll get you your free entry into the draw for the Lil Abada signed and framed top, which I think 24 hours left, Tony. Yep.
Yeah. Well done, Sean.
Tomorrow evening. Yep.
Thanks for that.
Thanks Tony.
For the comment. What's that?
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks for the comments, guys. We appreciate it. Been lots of them today, and understandably so. After a wonderful performance from Celtic, sets them up nicely for a mouth-watering tie against Real Madrid. Keep your eye on our YouTube channel. 5 o'clock. You won't be disappointed. Yep. An outstanding guest, great chat, and we will see you tomorrow for our own preview of Real Madrid tomorrow. I just can't believe I'm saying these things, Sean. It's great. It's wonderful. I'm trying to temper and keep a lid on it. But hit that subscribe button, guys. You know what to do. Thanks very much. Thanks for everything. We genuinely do appreciate it. Yep. And we will be back, same back channel, same time tomorrow, Sean.
Certainly will. Cheers, Tony. Cheers, Trips.